There's a version of your home that already knows you're in the room, adjusts before you ask, and locks itself down the moment you walk away. And by the time you reach the 12th upgrade on this list, touching a switch will feel almost old-fashioned. That home starts with something most people have never even heard of, a sensor that doesn't just detect motion, it detects presence, even when you're sitting completely still. The Aqara Presence Sensor, FP2, uses millimeter radar instead of the basic infrared motion sensors most smart devices rely on, which means it knows the difference between a room that's empty and a room where someone simply stopped moving, reading, working, or resting. Traditional motion sensors cut the lights the second you stop moving. This one doesn't, because it can actually tell you're still there. It can map multiple zones within a single room, track presence across several independent areas at once, and quietly hand that information off to almost everything else in this list. Lights, climate, cleaning schedules, without a single app tap required. Setup takes minutes, and from that point forward, the sensor becomes less of a gadget and more of a nervous system, the quiet layer underneath everything else that actually makes a home feel like it's paying attention. At $82, it's one of the more affordable products on this list, and arguably the one doing the most invisible work of all. And once a home can sense you, the next thing it should do is stop making you reach for anything first thing in the morning. The SwitchBot Curtain 3 clips onto an existing curtain rod, no rail replacement, no drilling, and opens or closes the curtains completely on its own, either on a schedule tied to sunrise or triggered by the presence sensor sensing you're finally awake and moving. It runs quietly along the track using a small motorized unit that most people forget is even there within a day of installing it, and it's strong enough to handle heavier curtains that would normally require a proper motorized rail system costing several times more. For anyone who's ever fumbled for a curtain cord half asleep or left blackout curtains closed until well into the afternoon out of sheer inertia, this removes that decision entirely. Natural light starts filling a room before a single conscious action happens. Starting from $89, it's a small, almost forgettable looking upgrade until the first morning it opens the curtains before you've even sat up. Light is one thing, but temperature is where most homes still quietly fail. Heating or cooling a whole house evenly when only the room you're actually sitting in matters. The Ecobee Smart Thermostat Premium solves that with smart sensor technology that reads both temperature and occupancy in individual rooms, not just wherever the main thermostat happens to be mounted in the hallway. Instead of one static reading deciding the temperature for an entire home, it prioritizes whichever room actually has someone in it, adjusting output accordingly rather than treating every space as equally occupied. Paired with the presence data already running quietly in the background, the system starts to feel less like a thermostat and more like a home that's constantly, invisibly deciding what you need before you've noticed you're cold. Voice control, detailed energy reporting, and full smartphone control round it out, but the real value isn't a feature list. It's walking into a room and it already being the exact temperature you'd have set it to yourself. Starting from $259, it's a genuine upgrade over a standard thermostat, one most people don't fully appreciate until they've lived with room-by-room comfort and can't imagine going back to guessing.
Comfort isn't only about temperature. Sometimes it's about the smaller frictions repeated dozens of times a day without anyone noticing. The Simplehuman sensor pump replaces a bottle you have to squeeze or a pump you have to press with a sensor that detects a hand hovering beneath it and dispenses exactly the right amount of soap automatically. No touching required at any point in the process. It's rechargeable, refillable, and its sensor is precise enough to avoid the false triggers or wasted product that plagued earlier touchless dispensers. In a kitchen especially, where hands are frequently covered in whatever's just been cooked or cleaned, removing that one touch point matters more than it sounds like it should. At $70, it's one of the smallest upgrades on this list, and one of the fastest to feel completely normal.
That same presence sensor from earlier doesn't stop at temperature either. Paired with the Philips Hue Smart Light Starter Kit, it becomes the trigger for lighting that shifts automatically throughout the day. Warmer and dimmer in the evening, brighter and cooler during the day, without a single manual adjustment. The kit includes the Hue Bridge and color-capable bulbs, and because it works directly with the presence data already running in the background, there's no need for a separate motion sensor at all. The smarter one already installed is doing the job. Lights simply respond to whoever's actually in the room. Starting at $147, it's less a lighting purchase and more the visual layer of everything already quietly working underneath it. And once a home starts responding to presence and light automatically, cleaning is the next thing that stops needing to be remembered. The Roborock Qrevo Curv handles vacuuming and mopping in a single pass, then returns to a dock that empties its bin, washes its own mopping pads, and dries them with hot air entirely on its own, with no bag to replace and no pad to rinse by hand. Obstacle avoidance is precise enough to navigate around cables, pet bowls, and furniture without constant recalibration, and cleaning schedules can be set to run automatically while a room's presence sensor confirms nobody's actually in it at the time. The result isn't just a clean floor, it's a floor that stays clean without ever appearing on anyone's mental to-do list. Most robot vacuums still require enough manual maintenance that they quietly become another chore. This one is built specifically to remove that last remaining touch point. Starting from $899, it's one of the more significant investments on this list, and also one of the most consistently used once it's actually running.
Not every invisible upgrade is about convenience. Some are about protecting a home from a disaster nobody sees coming until it's already happened. The Moen Flow Smart Water Shutoff installs directly on a home's main water line and continuously monitors flow patterns, learning what normal water use in a specific home actually looks like. The moment it detects something abnormal, a burst pipe, a running toilet left unnoticed for hours, a leak behind a wall, it shuts the water off automatically before a small problem becomes a flooded kitchen or a 5-figure repair bill. It sends an alert the second it happens, but the critical part isn't the notification, it's that the shutoff happens immediately, without waiting for anyone to see the alert and act on it. For homeowners in particular, this is less an upgrade and more an insurance policy that happens to also be genuinely smart technology. Starting from $675, it's the most expensive individual safeguard on this list, and for anyone who's ever dealt with water damage, also one of the easiest to justify.
Protection at home is one thing, but a lot of invisible friction actually happens at the door. Specifically, the garage door nobody's ever fully sure they closed. The meross Smart Garage Door Opener retrofits onto almost any existing garage door motor, adding app control, voice control, and automatic closing if the door's been left open past a set time, all without replacing the opener itself. It sends a notification the moment the door opens or closes, and can be set to close automatically the moment everyone's confirmed to be home, using the same presence logic already running elsewhere in the house. No more turning the car around 3 streets away to check. At $69, it's one of the more affordable upgrades on this list, and solves one of the most oddly persistent daily anxieties homeowners deal with.
Right alongside the garage, the front door has its own version of the same problem, not knowing who's there or when they arrived until it's too late to actually do anything about it. The Aqara Smart Doorbell Camera G410 uses its own built-in MM-wave radar to detect someone approaching before they've even reached the door, well before a traditional doorbell camera would trigger on motion alone. It also functions as a full Matter and Zigbee hub, meaning it can quietly control other smart devices in the home without needing a separate hub purchased alongside it. Local face recognition means familiar faces can trigger different actions than an unfamiliar one. Starting from $144, it's doing the job of 2 devices at once, a doorbell and a hub, for close to the price of one.
As the day moves toward evening, the same invisible convenience extends to the parts of the household who can't exactly ask for it themselves.
The Petlibro Granary 2 Series feeder dispenses precise, scheduled portions automatically, with a built-in camera that lets owners actually see their pet eating in real time, rather than just trusting a timer went off correctly. Its hopper holds enough food to last for weeks rather than days, and the dispensing mechanism is precise enough to avoid the jams and misfires that plagued earlier automatic feeders, which quietly built a bad reputation for the entire category. Two-way audio means it's possible to actually talk to a pet at feeding time, even from another city entirely. For anyone who's ever rushed home worried a feeding got missed, or worse, overfed because two people both assumed the other hadn't done it yet, this removes the guesswork completely. At $189, it turns one of the more anxiety-inducing pet ownership responsibilities into something that simply runs on its own, correctly every single time.
And as it gets darker outside, that same sense of a home quietly watching over itself extends past the front door entirely. The eufy Floodlight Camera E340 combines a 2,000 lumen floodlight with dual cameras covering a full 360 degrees, automatically lighting up and recording the moment it detects movement anywhere around the property, without a single manual switch flipped. Its dual lens setup covers both a wide field of view and a zoomed-in detail shot at the same time, and a built-in siren can trigger automatically if it detects something genuinely unusual, rather than just a passing cat. There's no monthly subscription required for the core recording features either. Starting from $219, it's the kind of upgrade that sits quietly outside a home, doing its job entirely unnoticed until exactly the moment it matters most. And then there's the upgrade that might be the most quietly impressive one on this entire list. The OnlyCat Microchip cat flap with prey detection reads a cat's existing microchip to allow entry only to pets who actually live there, while using built-in AI and camera recognition to detect when a cat's bringing home something it shouldn't be and temporarily locking them out until whatever's in their mouth has been dropped outside. It's the same invisible, presence-based logic running through every other upgrade on this list, applied to the one member of the household who can't be reasoned with directly. It's currently open for pre-order directly through OnlyCat's website, with shipping still ramping up, rather than available through typical retail today. But for cat owners in particular, it might be the single most quietly life-changing upgrade in this entire walkthrough. None of these upgrades were ever really about the gadgets themselves. They were about a home that quietly pays attention, adjusts before you ask, and hands back time and mental space you didn't realize you were spending on things this small. That's the actual shift happening in homes right now. Technology stepping back into the background, doing its job without asking for credit. If this gave you a clearer picture of what an invisible, presence-driven home could actually feel like, there's a lot more to explore. Subscribe and keep building toward a setup that works quietly in the background of your life. Links to every single product on this list are waiting for you in the description below.